to improve their three-point shooting this offseason. Carmelo, 41%. Wayne Ellington, his best at 42%. Malik Monk, by far his best.
Like this.
40%. Bays. Remember Bays?
Yeah.
Bazemore.
Yeah. 10 minutes.
41%. Ariza, 35. Nunn, 38. Lakers bench last season, 34%.
Good upgrade. Make some shots.
I'm going to ask you guys this.
Okay.
We did a show after the Russell Westbrook news broke, and we talked about what they're going to put around the big three. We also talked about the shooting and how they would address that. You looked at those numbers. In your opinion, how did they do?
I thought today was a really good day for them. Yesterday, interesting. You know, they got a bunch of vets. I like Wayne Ellington. I've always kind of thought that he'd be a nice guy to get back. He shoots over 40% behind the arc seemingly every year now. And then you add the young guys today. Malik Monk coming off a career year in points and three-point accuracy. Nunn, very dangerous behind the arc. I feel like they've really done a nice job of getting what they needed as far as putting a bunch of shooters around LeBron, AD, and of course Russell Westbrook, who takes a lot of threes, but he's not a very prolific, accurate three-point shooter. So far so good. They still got a couple roster spots. What will they do? You know, JJ Redick is still out there. He's getting older. He's 37 now. Maybe he's someone they take a gamble on. But I thought they really had some nice moments as far as improving the shooting. Because remember, they finished 21st last season in the regular season, and they were not good behind the arc in the playoffs.
They did a great job.
Yeah.
But they also helped themselves by getting someone like Trevor Ariza who can play defense.
Yeah. Sure.
We can't just think about all the offense because one thing we know about the head coach there with the Lakers, he loves guys playing defense. You have AD there. You have Dwight Howard, who, if nothing else, will foul you very hard and make you think about coming into the lane. So that helps them having either him as a starting center or a backup center. But having the shooters around AD, around LeBron, and around Russell, that helps quite a bit.
I know it's too early to talk lineups probably, but when you think of LeBron, AD, Russ, let's just say Marc Gasol, who slides into that perimeter spot? Is it a shooter like Wayne Ellington, or are you looking more for a perimeter defensive player?
I am not going with Marc Gasol at the center spot.
Going with Dwight?
I am not going with that either.
AD?
I'm going with AD at center.
Okay.
At forwards, LeBron and Trevor Ariza.
Okay.
In that backcourt, you have Wayne Ellington, and who's this guy they just picked
So
up?
you did get to my question. I like that.
Yes.
It's Wayne Ellington you think is in that spot.
I think
Are you
he
happy
is.
with the Lakers getting Wayne?
Because he spreads the court for the guys that are downhill drivers and slashers. One thing the defense knows, when Wayne's out there, you have to pay attention. If you don't, he will kill you from the outside. And if you are paying attention and playing close defense on him, the lanes open up for Russell, they open up for LeBron, and AD can also do his work down low, mid-range, and outside.
This makes a lot of sense to me. You know, I've been hoping they get him kind of quietly for a couple years now because he's developed this almost untouchable three-point shot. Is he Steph Curry? Is he Klay Thompson? No, obviously that's not the case. A little bit older, 34 years old. So if it's not him, I think Kendrick Nunn is the guy. It might come down to who's showing better defense in training camp because Frank Vogel, look at the perimeter defensive guys he lost. He lost a guy like KCP, not coming back.
Think about Avery Bradley the year before. I mean, the guys in that role, Brez, have been guys that get into you.
Yeah.
That's their role on this team.
And Kuz had a very quietly good defensive season. He was top 25 in defensive win share. That's individual defense. So you lose 3 good defenders in the last week. That spot might go to whoever shows Frank Vogel the most in training camp and the preseason defensively.
Steph Curry agreeing to a 4-year, $215 million extension with the Warriors. Sounds like the numbers you guys are getting. First player in NBA history to sign 2 $200 million contracts. Steph, congratulations.
Wow. He can.
I guess they took care of him up there.
Yeah, I think so. He can buy a lot of wine with that.
There's no Steph Curry leaving now.
To go where?
Just saying.
You know where he's going?
He's not going anywhere.
I know where he's going.
To the bank.
To the bank.
Yeah.
To get that cash.
What does that say about the league, too, when you see these kind of numbers, Brez, and how these superstars are, you know?
No doubt. Good job for the Warriors. You know, obviously Steph had 2 years ago, kind of a quiet season. Some injuries there, obviously. He really bounced back strong this past season. MVP candidate to the very end. It didn't help that they were in the play-in game, actually failed to make the playoffs, but love what Golden State is doing here. Love, he's what, young guy, 32, did you say? So he's got some years ahead of him. This is a great pickup. He's not a real high-contact player. He can just hang out there and drill threes all day. Love this happening. Big contract for him and a nice contract for the league. Period.
Clay coming back. Let's see what the Warriors do.
Can't forget them.
And don't forget about the young kid Wiseman. He'll be back out for the injured list.
I thought they were going to trade some picks, but they ended up. We'll see what happens. We'll see.
Not done
I don't
yet.
think they're a finished product yet. All right, next on Access, Russell Westbrook is headed.
Yes, it is.
BT had some details in the LA Times on the Lakers' move to trade for Russell Westbrook. What can you tell us?
Basically, Geeter and Brez, what I found out that Russell really wanted to come home, but they had this meeting at LeBron's house with AD, and the conversation was really kind of just fun, good times, but then they got serious. And it was about Russell knowing that he can be sometimes polarizing with his teammates, with the media still, but his response to that was, guys, I want to win. I want to come home. I want to win an NBA championship. The conversation then turns to AD and LeBron. AD, are you willing to move to the center position if that makes us a better team? His answer was, yes, I am. Then it goes to LeBron James. LeBron, you're 36, 37 years old. Are you willing to move to the power forward position if that's what's good for the team? The answer was yes. The next thing you hear is Russell saying, Brian, if you have the ball in your hand, I can play off the ball. I did that when I was in Houston playing alongside James Harden.
Bradley Beal. He's played with stars, Kevin Durant. I mean,
He has played with stars. The biggest thing is they all kept saying, we have to put our egos aside and play for each other and play for the Lakers. If we do that, we give ourselves a chance to win an NBA championship.
Yeah, great stuff, BT.
Yeah, BT, great detail on that story. And you got to take those egos, if you're those three guys, and just punt them 80 yards down the field. You know, that's what it's going to take for this to work. And I think it will work. You know, Russ is not his former teammate, Bradley Beal. He's not a dead-eye three-point shooter. And so some Laker fans might be like, okay, we still haven't upgraded the shooting. What you have done, though, is you've got a guy who can really take the ball out of LeBron's hands at certain times, give him a rest. LeBron couldn't quite do that a lot last season. Schroeder, good. As far as being a playmaker, Russell Westbrook, excellent. You know, still a blur on the court, absolute phenom. Don't forget the rebounding either. He was like 5th or 6th in the entire NBA in rebounding last season. The guys ahead of him were all centers and power forwards. I mean, don't forget that. He's always chasing offensive boards. He's going to get these guys extra possessions game after game after game.
I mean, it's not celebrated enough, the fact that he's averaged a triple-double, which nobody saw for how many years?
Right.
And he's done it 4 of the last 5 years.
It's nuts.
So the haters will come out and say, well, he's a stat stuffer. But when you talk to his teammates or his coaches, they love him. He competes, and he's just trying to do what he can to win. I believe Russell Westbrook when he says, I want to win. That's all he's ever wanted to do. I mean, the fact that he gets numbers, he plays his way.
And Peter, look, he's a one-man fast break. So if you're
that's the
on
thing.
that
Do we have the
team-
speed to keep up with him?
I mean, if you're playing
the
with
Lakers have
them
the speed.
and you want an easy basket or a dunk, follow Russell.
I know we don't have the speed to keep up, but do the Lakers.
Speak for yourself.
You're right.
You're
I was looking at Brez.
You're right.
I definitely know how to speed. The thing I like about this deal is I thought the Lakers were out of chips. I thought they were out of bullets to make something happen. 2 years ago, it was supposed to be their big trade. You give up 3 really good young players, a bunch of first-round draft picks, and you get Anthony Davis. That was supposed to be a once-in-a-generation thing. Russ is not AD. He's got several more years under his belt. Completely different type of player, obviously. But the fact that the Lakers were able to pull off this trade by giving up only 1 first-round pick, the 22nd pick in the draft last week, and some players who, you know, were kind of inconsistent last season. This is a big, strong move by the Lakers. I really do like it.
And listen, when you have those 3 big names and they're making a lot of money, you have to figure out how to put good talent around them. And the Lakers have done that the last 2 days. So props to Rob Pelinka, Kurt Rambis in that front office, everyone that's involved. BT Kawhi declined his $30 million player option, but he is expected to sign with the Clippers. He has been a big part of people going there and what they do. The unfortunate ACL injury. But the Clippers did fantastic, actually, without him in that playoff. So the confidence that they're going to have going into next year, But they're signing him, right?
Well, until they sign him,
I mean,
you have to think that maybe it won't happen. I don't see him leaving, going anywhere else. But when you hear stories that he will talk to other teams, that has to scare the Clippers. Now, most teams that have money is pretty much dried up.
Yeah.
But if Kawhi comes to Team X and says,
Yeah.
I want to play for you and not go back to the Clippers, you will move heaven and earth and Mike Breslingham to get him. But in the end, I says he remains with the Clippers.
Thank you for putting me in the same sentence as heaven and earth. I appreciate that.
Yeah. That's where that's where we all thought he was going in the first place.
Yes.
And that's where I think he will stay.
Yeah.
All right, Lakers depth chart is a lot more filled out than a couple of days ago when they had just 4 players under contract. Look at the guards. You have Russell Westbrook, Malik Monk, Kendrick Nunn. You got Wayne Ellington, Kent Bazemore. We haven't even talked about Kent Bazemore yet. THT, small forward over there. You got LeBron James, Trevor Ariza. You got Anthony Davis, Carmelo, Marc Gasol, Dwight Howard. Let's discuss the center position because both moves are newsworthy. Laker fans very sad last year that Dwight was not on the team. Well, he's back now for a third time. Is he the rim protector they need, Brez?
Yeah, I like what he did this past season with Philly. Basically the same exact stats as he had with the Lakers, about 8 rebounds and 8 points a game. Came off the bench yet again. You know, some spot starts. He started about a half dozen games when Embiid might be out or whatever. But he kind of kept the same role, the same energy for Philly. This is a nice pickup by the Lakers, too. I really liked Dwight 2 years ago. Just the difference, BT, in covering him. You know, several years ago when he was on the 2012-13 team, came in with an injury. Laker fans kind of got on him. I just really thought he had a completely different attitude 2 years ago. Had fun with the fans, fun with the media. Really liked the maturation of Dwight Howard, and he's still a very good piece off the bench. I don't know if you want him starting more than a few games here and there. Again, he's getting up there in age, but a very nice pickup for a veteran's minimum contract of about $2.6 million.
2 things for me with Dwight. He has embraced who he is as a young man, as a player, and he's a physical player. So as I said before, if you get in the lane and you think you have an easy shot at the rim, if he doesn't block it, then you might get fouled pretty hard upside your head, which makes you think about going into the lane again. He's also good at setting screens. But one thing that he took to heart was when Frank Vogel said, be a star in your role.
And he did it.
And he did
He
that.
did it in Philly, too.
Yes, he did.
I mean, Philly's not happy that he's gone. I mean, Dwight has become a valuable piece for teams. But do you want to throw something in? Because I'm going to talk a little bit.
Yeah, you know, we can't forget what Dwight did in the playoffs 2 seasons ago against Denver. You know, he really kind of irritated Jokic, and I thought that was a key turnaround for the Lakers, and maybe Dwight for his career. You know, he really made an impact in that series, the West Finals, helped the Lakers get to that next round. He was really an irreplaceable piece in that series.
Brez, I just see Dwight as that guy that comes off the bench and gives them instant energy and does his role, just like you said, star in your role. I'm curious. Marc Gasol, BT, the way BT put it with maybe AD sliding to the 5, I hadn't thought about that. I knew AD would play a lot of 5, and you always think about in the playoffs he's playing the 5. But Marc Gasol, who, man, when he finally did get right last year, started to play really well. He can actually space the floor. He can shoot. He can pass. Does he fit in that starting lineup? Are you happy he's back? Are you surprised he's back?
Yeah.
I mean, I know he was under contract, but there was just some rumblings after the season. It didn't end well.
He had some DNP CDs definitely down the stretch, and obviously he probably had to think about what was in store for him as one of, you know, really only a handful of Lakers with guaranteed contracts next season. His is not that large. It's about $2.5 million. You know, it doesn't really surprise me that he's back. Maybe he wanted to maybe see if there's other teams out there that might give him a little bit more of a starring role. But then again, you know, he's getting up there in years. I will say, just generally speaking, I thought the Lakers still need another big man who can shoot. I thought maybe Kelly Olynyk would be a good fit for them. He went for like $10 million a year somewhere. So he's, you know, I thought he'd be a really nice little piece for them. But a lot of players are getting paid, especially big men who can shoot threes.
I'm not surprised that Mark wants to come back, something he told my coworker, Dan Wacky, over in Tokyo. He still thinks he has something left. And there is something that we saw improvements out of him, especially when they got Andre Drummond. That seemed to spur him on a little bit more. He seemed to get healthy faster because of that. and he played better.
Yeah.
And as you said, he's so intelligent. His IQ is so high that he spreads the court. He can knock down those open shots. But I'm not sure if he would be the starting center if AD decides he wants to play that position.
Sure. Yeah, he still stretch the court. Remember last season, Heat and BT, Laker fans really down on Marc Gasol the first half of the season, and then he comes back and he's playing great ball, and they're like, oh yeah, we love Marc Gasol. Had a really nice finish to that season, more or less.
All right, guys, let's go to break here. We look at some notable free agent agreements. Andre Drummond to the Sixers, Ben McLemore, Blazers, DeMar DeRozan, the Bulls. It was a little sign and trade. Markieff Morris to the Heat. We're going to miss Keith. Otto Porter Jr. to the Warriors. Patty Mills, that was one that I think we all wanted. Going to the Nets, man, they're going to be tough. Rudy Gay, great pickup for the Jazz. Spencer Dinwiddie to the Wizards. So some great names right there.
That's
We're back
the Lakers, arms race.
with more access after the break, and we'll bid a farewell, a proper farewell to the Bald Eagle.
Oh, man, I just...
Hurt me in my soul. Alex Caruso has agreed to a 4-year, $37 million deal with the Chicago Bulls. Caruso is a key part of the Lakers 2020 championship squad and a Lakers Nation fan favorite. Caruso taking to Twitter to show some love to Laker fans. Will never forget my time in LA and the Lake Show fans. Y'all loved me before it was cool. Genuine love for all of y'all. Caruso of the Bulls, fan favorite, awesome in his role. Really happy for him, man. Go get that money and have a great career. We'll be cheering for you the whole time. Let's get to the 5-piece of the Bald Eagle Classics. We start with this one. Hello and welcome to Access Sportsnet. I'm your host, Chris McGee. Joining me, it's our Laker insider. His name is Mike Bresnan from the LA Times. BT, Brad Turner.
BT.
Gita, what's good, man?
What's up, BT?
Man, all good around here, man.
You
How are
working
you?
the phones, the texts, the emails, everything. What do you got? The instant messaging? What's going on? DMs? What do you got? You just got everything going?
You know what? There was so much going on. I was a little tired.
Buds in.
All that stuff. They went dead a couple of times. Had to recharge the batteries and everything, but it worked out okay. And then there's one guy called to bother me.
Who?
This guy named Francis.
Michael Francis Bresnan.
Trying to improve your day, BT.
We have a big show for you guys because free agency frenzy in the NBA is upon us. The Lakers continued their free agent moves and got it all started with this one on Tuesday. According to media reports, free agent Carmelo Anthony has agreed to join the Lakers on a 1-year deal. Melo played great off the bench for the Blazers last year. He averaged 13 points.
I like it.
That was 10 years ago, is it? 13 points while shooting over 40% from deep. In addition to Melo, the Lakers also added some youth to their roster, agreeing to terms with free agent guard Malik Monk. In addition, they also reportedly agreed on a 2-year deal with free agent guard Kendrick Nunn. The second season is a player option. A lot to unpack. What is it, 8 years ago now, Melo was an option. He was in free agent meetings here in Los Angeles. There have always been rumors. And now Melo is teaming up with LeBron for the first time and playing for the Lakers. I'll start with you, Brez. Your thoughts? Were you excited? Were you surprised? What were the feelings?
You know, if he was a typical 37-year-old in the NBA, a guy who was drafted in 2003, think about that, I'd probably be like, whatever. But as you talked about and you saw by the stats, you can still see the stats there. He's playing great ball for Portland. Last 2 years, he's been very productive off the bench for these guys. So Carmelo will be a great second-team unit guy for the Lakers. I go back to that Phoenix series. They had a couple droughts in very important parts of that series. They couldn't get points on the board. Melo will definitely help in that situation. A guy who can really light up the scoreboard. Even still, BT at age 37 will not give you much defensively, but I do like the fact that he's kind of added this threat of a three-point shot. 41% last season. That's impressive right there.
Wow, no defense, he said. How about that? That's accurate.
Did you hear that?
I did hear that. You know what, Gita? I almost thought there was a chance he might go to New York, to the Knicks.
There was
some talk
reunion
about
homecoming.
except that Tom Thibodeau is the head coach there.
Yeah.
And I don't see Carmelo playing for someone who drives you just that hard.
Do you think Frank had a? You think that?
You know, Frank does a great job with these older veteran players.
That came into play,
making
probably?
sure. Well, let's be honest.
Yeah.
His friend is LeBron James.
Sure.
he wanted to play for and with LeBron James.
Yep.
And the weather is pretty good in L.A.
Not so
compared
bad.
to New York City. And he has a home here. I mean, he enjoys the lifestyle. And I think if you look at it, the Lakers have a better chance of winning a championship than the Knicks do.
I mean, probably the window for him is
Oh, it's very small.
small.
I mean, he's like,
Right? And
he's
New York had a
Breslingham's
great
age
year
right now.
The Knicks done some good things.
They have.
But like you said, fit.
Great
Chance
fit.
to play with LeBron.
As Breslinghan pointed out correctly for a change, is that he has shot the ball from three very, very well.
Malik Monk, only 23 years
like
old.
this one.
Lakers needed some youth, and he provides that. He's also coming off of his best year. He's had an interesting couple of first few years in the league. His first two, just some coaching changes, some off-the-court stuff, some injuries, things like that. But he's kind of gotten through that, it seems like, Brez, and he's an unfinished product.
Really like what he did this past season. Okay, Charlotte had some injuries, a.k.a. LaMelo Ball. What happens? You plug this guy in pretty much. He goes off in February, 16.5 points a game. March, similar numbers, a little bit of a dip in the scoring, but he had a really good mid-season run. I'm actually stunned that he was available for a vet's minimum contract. For a guy with only 4 years of service, that's about $1.7 million. That's not a lot. So the fact that Lakers, a.k.a. Rob Pelinka in the front office, were able to get this guy, this is a nice pickup for them. They get a lot younger. He's 23 years old. I think it's a very low-risk, potentially high-reward contract for the Lakers. Malik Monk, 11th pick in the draft 4 years ago, never quite lived up to that hype. When you're a lottery pick, a lot of eyeballs on you at all times, but you got to like, especially that 40% from three-point range. That's a nice number right there. We're seeing a little theme from the Lakers signings the last 24 hours, BT.
You know what, Gita, one thing I've learned about Malik Monk is that he was someone that came into the league, high expectations, and couldn't quite live up to that. Based on what I've been told from my years of being in the league, sometimes it takes guys longer to develop.
For sure.
Physically.
Well, they come in so young now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Physically, mentally. So it took him a while to get there. And he showed last season, as Brad says, that he could be a productive player off the bench or as a starter. But because he can shoot the ball so well, that's what the Lakers needed. And because he is young, they do need youth. And the idea for a one-year contract, if he plays well, he can parlay that perhaps into a better contract next season.
So when free agency started today, the Lakers were a lot older, and they were looking for shooting. It seems like they've addressed that today. Not with Melo, of course, who's 37 years old, but with Malik Monk and the next guy I'm going to mention, Kendrick Nunn. I know you guys all remember him. He played for the Heat. As a rookie, he averaged 15 per. Lakers met them in the NBA Finals, and for me, this one was a surprise. Listen, he was a 49, 38, and 93 guy. He's almost a 50-50, 90 guy, which is rare air last year. So he has that potential, guys. Young, crafty, can get hot. Brez, do you love this one? Was this a surprise?
This was a big surprise to me, and he'll take up the Lakers' mid-level, so to speak, about $6 million a year for a 2-year deal. I thought the Lakers might get Patty Mills in this spot, and so did a lot of other people.
Well, I think that was on everyone's wish list.
Yeah,
right?
Some Laker fans may be disappointed by that. Mills is having a very nice offseason run with Team Australia, and obviously a pretty gifted player as a part-time starter for San Antonio. But Kendrick Nunn is a great save in my mind. This guy's a lot younger than Patty Mills, 26 years old, 2 very productive seasons with the Miami Heat. The writing was on the wall when they traded for Kyle Lowry yesterday. Right. Maybe Kendrick Nunn is on the way out. The Lakers made the phone call, presumably after Patty Mills told them thanks but no thanks. And this is a great, great recovery for the Lakers. I love his game. Young, like you said, he can get to the basket. He can hit threes. This kid can score.
2 years ago, he was second in Rookie of
the Year. He had a great rookie season.
Yeah. He started this with Golden State in their franchise with them. He went to Miami, had a very good year. The Lakers got lucky because they were patient. They were aware of what was going on. They made the phone calls, staying active, and it turns out the Miami Heat had financial problems trying to deal with that, trying to keep him on their team. So he can't keep the contract that they agreed to. They'll release him. What does Rob Pelinka do? He swoops in. And he signs a very good young player for 2 years and gives him the option where he can opt out the next year. Who wouldn't want that? And based on what I was told, that Nunn had a chance to go to other teams for more money, but he chose the Lakers.
Well, he knows he's going to be on the big stage.
Yes.
He knows that if you do good things here, big things can happen for you down the road. And Brez, played 2 years. He's averaged 15 and 14 points a game. So say he comes off the bench, you can use that kind of a spark.
For sure. And he was kind of a part-time starter in Miami.
Yeah.
You know, some vet guys went down with injuries in his short 2 years there. He had to plug in. And that might happen with the Lakers. Maybe they say, you know what, you got to jump in there. We're going to give Russ the night off. Now, he's not a point guard. You know, keep that in mind. He's not a passer. This guy is a pure scorer. That's his game.
Yeah.
We'll see defensively what he can bring to the mix. Still a pretty young player in NBA years, but a real nice pickup for the Lakers. I'm loving their day 2 acquisitions.
All right, more moves from the purple and gold. Woj reporting that restricted free agent Talen Horton-Tucker has agreed to a 3-year, $32 million deal to stay with the Lakers. THT showed flashes during his second season with the team, averaging 10 points and close to 4 assists post All-Star break. Guys, I think this is big.
Yes.
He's a homegrown guy. Lakers drafted him in the second round. He's still only 20 years old. He was a priority for them, and the Lakers got him. How important was that, Brez? Because you and I spent a lot of time on these off-season shows talking about what kind of money is he going to demand. Will they be able to match it?
You know, during a lot of these shows, to me, it was always an either-or with THT or Alex Caruso. 2 young guards, obviously THT very young, 20 years old. Which one is going to end up with the Lakers? And THT made more sense. A, he's restricted free agent, and B, his ceiling is higher than Alex Caruso. Caruso, decent offensive player, shot 40% from three-point range last season. But THT, you know, you saw some stuff towards the end of the season. 24 points against Utah, 23 against Houston. And you start to think, what can this kid really deliver? He's so young. Some of the guys that were drafted this year were a couple years older than this kid. So this makes a lot of sense. I think it's a good number for the Lakers, you know, a little over $10 million a year. I think it's a pretty good number for THT, too. The guy would have made about...
Changes your life.
Yeah, he made about $1 million this past season. So anytime you go 10X in salary, that's a pretty good day for you.
You know what else helped the Lakers? That no other team came and threw a lot of money at THT.
And that's what I think we were all worried about going into
That was
this
a
process.
little bit of a surprise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was a surprise. But that's because teams were trying to get Kyle Lowry's and the DeMar DeRozans of the world.
Yeah.
And maybe they overlooked him. But the Lakers had to feel very fortunate that he was willing to accept this contract.
Yep.
Obviously, he wanted to stay here. At 20 years old, as you said, 20 is improving. What he's really got better at, Brad, that I love, he's starting to concentrate more on defense.
Yeah.
Because with his long arms and his reach, he can block shots. We've seen him do that. Now, if he just learns how to become a better help defender, he's pretty good on ball. But if he can become a total defender, his game will really flourish.
President mentioned Alex Caruso. We're going to talk about him later in the show. Everyone's going to miss AC Fresh, fan favorites. Just want you to know that's coming up a little bit later. I do want to ask you one more thing, BT, about THT. Do you think that connection with LeBron James and the fact that he was drafted here, that was a priority?
Well,
because I don't know if it was an either or, but you have to prioritize, right?
I think LeBron James and THT had the same agent as just AD. That helps. It helps that he was grown by the Lakers, as you said, and Frank Vogel loves this young man.
Okay.
He's watched him grow and watched him prosper, and they know he works hard at his craft, and he wants to be great. Those are the things that help the Lakers keep him here. And let's be honest, sunshine is here, too.
All right, guys. Coming up, we'll have more on Lakers' new big